today we are going to switch it up a little bit from last week, and we are going to do more of like a question and answer. I have a list of questions here that either partners or people that we are working with to become partners have asked, and I'm going to run through them with Andy. So just to kind of dive right on in and kind of touch on what we talked about last week with supply and demand related to the price of oil, what would you say your thoughts are regarding the price of oil?
Well, the first segment that we did, if you remember, oil prices took a major skid. It was the biggest precipitous hit that oil prices have taken in my career, which is almost 20 years. Since then, we've seen oil prices double, and that was a little over a week ago. So that's good. I mean, it's fallen right in line with where we thought it would. It surprised me a little bit, to be honest with you. I didn't expect for them to come back that quickly. But as you can see, it looks a little bit busier here in downtown Dallas. And as things start to open up around the country, I think what you'll see is you'll start to see a kind of a slow ramp up. I think oil prices will fall in line to where we originally thought that they would. I see oil prices between $45 and $55 a barrel by the end of the year. But as we talked about on our last show, we are continuing to store our oil until we get to a price point where we feel comfortable selling it or we run out of storage capacity. But like I said, $45 to $55 a barrel is where we see it towards the end of the year this year.
So to kind of touch on that going forward, what would you say your overall strategy is right now?
Well, right now, like I said, we have ordered a lot of tank batteries, frac tanks that we get out in West Texas. And right now we are storing our oil in those. And unfortunately, last month we had to sell oil because we couldn't get some of the storage facilities out there quick enough. And it was unlike anything I've ever seen before. We sold oil in one of our properties, which is in the northeast corner of Texas, which you've been through Texarkana because you live in Hot Springs or close to it. We got $12.73 a barrel. It's terrible. But unfortunately on that location, we don't have much storage. So anyway, the first place that we will be going with our storage facilities will be on that location. So I hope that answered your question.
It did. And then veering kind of to a different subject, as far as like drilling for new projects, do you have like a set schedule that you're going with for the year? Do you have those projects planned out?
Yeah, we do. Fortunately, as you know from speaking with a lot of our investing partners, they're very intelligent, they're very successful, and they see through this. It's kind of the Warren Buffett approach. When everybody else is running the other direction, like a general public, you know, the sophisticated, savvy, accredited crew, they read between the tea leaves. And so basically what they see is they see an opportunity to buy into projects while oil prices are low, the demand is soft, the supply is abundant. And so basically we're able to drill wells right now for a lot less than we were before. So with that being said, our drilling schedule is like this. We will drill our next horizontal well on or about July the 6th. And as soon as we get done drilling that one, we will drill our Raging Cajun number 3. So we've got the Raging Cajun number 2 on July 6th. About 25 days after that, it's the Raging Cajun number 3. Then we'll be building a saltwater disposal well commercially so that we can dispose our saltwater from those wells into that one, and that'll be sometime in November. And then hopefully we can start the drilling process for our Raging Cajun number 4 joint venture before the end of the year. But I did make a promise to our investors that we would wait and see what the production looked like for the Raging Cajun number 2 and 3 before we decided to choose a location or even drill the Raging Cajun number 4. So we'll take a look at that and see where prices are and take a look at what the production capabilities look like for the other 2 wells before we take that step. That's what it looks like so far.
So in correlation to that schedule, when should the partners be expecting their checks to start coming in? Like for the 2 and then for the 3, how does that work in correlation with the drilling schedule?
No, that's a good question. And as you know, it's different for different wells. Vertical wells are usually really quick. You know how, we've been working together a long time. I mean, usually when we drill a vertical well, if you drill it on Monday the 1st of whatever month it is, you can usually have it drilled, tested, and completed by the end of the month. And 2 months after that, we're getting paid for our oil. But in this case, If we should be selling oil in September in commercial quantities, which means we will get paid on the 25th of October, and that's when, of course, you and Derek will go through and reconcile those revenues with expenses, and so we will get paid our money on October the 25th, and then in the middle of November, we will be sending out revenue checks for our partners, which will reflect October expenses and September revenue.
And this is for the RC2 or the 3?
Possibly both, because if you recall, we'll be drilling those 2 wells back to back.
Okay. Well,
And if not, yeah, it's exciting. I mean, if not, then the Raging Cajun 3 will be a month after. But no, it's very exciting because we believe that these are our flagship wells. I don't know if I told you before, but we're using what's called compressed seismic, which, by the way, it's really, really neat. It's basically the difference. So our audience may or may not know, but seismic doesn't tell you if hydrocarbons are there. But as much drilling as we've done in the field, we know that they are there. What seismic tells you is what your subsurface features look like. And with this compressed seismic data, it's unbelievable because it basically is the difference between watching television 15 years ago versus watching it now and how clear the picture is. And so once you can identify how these subsurface features exist and you already know that oil is there, you can choose your locations very, very carefully to make sure that you're in the best place possible. And since we already know oil is there, the seismic data should work out splendidly. So we're very excited.
So with all the questions you've answered so far, how would you say as a whole our partners, and you did touch on earlier, are responding to the current oil markets?
Well, fortunately, we do a really good job of vetting our partners. And believe this or not, a lot of times people think, well, we just take money from anybody, and that's not the case. You know, we've had problems in the past, and so we know what to look for to avoid those moving forward. And so, you know, fortunately, everybody that I spoke to is on board with our program. People are a little impatient because, as you would expect, I mean, people want their money, right? But, I mean, when you have 2 choices, sell your oil at $13 a barrel or wait 90 days or 120 days and sell it at $40 a barrel, I don't know too many people out there that would not choose to take a 400% return in a 90 or 120 day period of time. So they're very understanding of that, actually. So, I mean, I think that they're annoyed, as they should be,
Yeah.
and I am too, and you are too. I mean, nobody likes fielding phone calls when people want to know where their money is, but the good news is that we're very transparent. As you know, we communicate with them so they at least know what to expect.
Kind of like change it on a fun note. What's up with your spiked hair here? It's
Oh,
a little bit of change.
Well, so I turned 40 in November, and it was just like, I don't know, just the rubber met the road, and I felt like I had to do something to make myself feel youthful again. Does it look good or does it look bad? It looks bad, doesn't it?
Oh no, it doesn't matter at all. It's not a sin. It's just that's a big change.
We're going to a rock concert. How's that? When the COVID.
Hey, look good, feel good.
That's right. And when the COVID stipulations are over, when all those people are like getting their cars together and driving over to the AAC and going to concerts and things,
Yes.
I'll make sure to maintain the hairstyle for you.
Our concert's your choice of what you want to do when you go out. What else do you want to do when the world opens back up?
You
I
know,
don't have my list.
I miss basketball. You know,
I know you do.
I mean, on the, you know, as being a, you know, person that's on the advisory committee for the Dallas Mavericks, I mean, you get to know these players very well, and these kiddos are so cool, and, you know, it's really fun to watch people that you know. You know, it's different. I enjoyed basketball anyway when I would go and I didn't know these guys, but now that you really know them, it's amazing. You're so nervous for them. But I have an affinity for basketball and watching these athletes develop. And well, let me spin this around. What do you want to do?
Oh, you know, I've got my list of things being a female and things.
What's your favorite thing to do?
My favorite thing? Oh, I want to go to the beach so bad. I wouldn't say I have like a travel bug. I don't like love to travel 24/7, but I do love traveling, and I usually take like 3 to 4 trips a year. And this is probably the longest I've gone without leaving Texas or wherever I'm living. I'm fairly new to Dallas. So I want to go to the beach. I don't care what beach it is. I don't care how far it is. I want to go to the beach and I want to lay out. Or by a pool. Pool would work too.
Well, you know, as you know, we typically take the boys with us, and you and I have done some traveling together for oil and gas conferences and things like that. And usually, what we do when we go to these conferences is we'll work for 2 or 3 days, set up our booth, get to meet everybody from around the world, and then we'll take a day or two and have fun. So I'll make sure, since you control the schedule, to choose a conference where it is in a city with a beach. How's that sound?
Oh, that's
We'll make it up to you.
Great.
Awesome.
Well, guys, that is all the questions that we have for this week. So be sure to send in your questions for next week, and we will be sure to answer them.
Hey, you did great today, by the way. You guys will be great.